I have been seeing lately on Twitter, right? So when it comes to not necessarily even just no code, but when it comes to your brand or your domain, right? So are you actually going to buy the domain before you get going, or are you going to wait to and build out the product and then buy the domain?
Again, right, there's a high degree of uncertainty if your idea works. I have like a list of domain names that I own, probably like 30, 40, and it's like, an idea that you had that you start, but then you're like, it doesn't work, and you move on. I think the best point here is to be very highly experimental. You can change your name, you can change the domain, you can change your logo. It's not set in stone. And the fact that you will, one example is, one of my first startups, I spent pretty much almost 2 months designing a logo. And I surrounded myself with people who are highly critical. Well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? If you print it on a t-shirt versus printing on this. And it's like a lot of nonsense. It's like, no, it's like good enough is good enough, right? And just move fast. And then more importantly, validate with users, right? So I think it's like you can always change, you can always rename, you can always do. It's like just be, especially when you think about startups, just be very experimental. Nothing is set in stone, and you're just like experiencing life and testing ideas out.
Maybe just to add there, the fun part. I'm not gonna get into that discussion, but the fun part is maybe. So we just released today. Our new pricing model, which allows anyone experiment and have their own custom domain on the free plan. So Eddy, you can just go ahead and
even better
recharge your old custom domains. So I think, that's also one thing that we definitely wanted to kind of empower more people to just not even have that hurdle going additional step of buying anything to have their custom domain to test out something. So I think it's just things are becoming more and more easier. It's just for people to really validate, talk to customers, understand if there is a need, and buying a domain, making a logo, etc. Those are kind of the last step things, right?
I think one point, it's like we have companies such as Software, Webflow, Bubble, and all of it that essentially empower you to do whatever you want to build, right? And it's like the tools are here now. Now non-technical individuals can essentially build, but yet in building startups, validating and identifying a business opportunity still remains the hard part. If that wouldn't be the case, every engineer in the world would be a startup founder, which is not the case, right? So it's like there's still like this problem identification and identifying how to solve it, and essentially, is it worth enough that individuals pay for that problem? That still remains the challenging part. No code just allows you to do that, and companies like Software and Typeform and VideoAsk have tools to get closer to the truth and develop towards that. But the problem of solving a problem where people are willing to pay for it still remains.
Yeah, if the brand is the thing that prevents you to create your project, then you probably have other issues or other things to look at. You never heard about Quickform, I bet, because Quickform was the first name of Typeform, and we went through rebranding early on, and we went through rebranding a bit later. You probably never used VideoAsk when it was videoask.it. Now it's videoask.com, but we also had to buy the domain that was available back then. It was probably cheaper than trying to get the .com, but now that we proved that it was valid, then we put the budget to buy the .com. Maybe now it makes the .com more expensive because we have a real product with it. But we went through the same thing.